All right, welcome to your first online lecture. I hope you enjoy it. So don't forget to have printed out your memory outline to have it ready in front of you so that you can be filling it in as we go. All right, so how does memory work? Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about, the thing we're going to be talking about today is kind of this information processing model. So here's just a really simplified description of how memory works. Okay, we have encoding, we have storage, and we have retrieval. Okay, encoding is the information gets into our brains in a way that allows it to be stored. Okay, which then leads us to storage, which is the information is held in a way that allows it to later be retrieved. Okay, and then retrieval is reactivating and recalling the information, producing it in a form similar to what was encoded. So we have to get it in, keep it in, and get it back out. That's kind of memory in a nutshell. So the Atkinson-Schriffen model is kind of the current working form of memory. Okay, and basically what this says is that we have all this external stimuli going on, okay, and it's briefly recorded by our sensory memory. Then whatever we pay attention to, okay, is processed into our short-term memory and then encoded through rehearsal. Rehearsal means practice. Okay, that information then moves into the long-term memory where it can be retrieved later. So modifying this model, kind of like as we've worked with it, as we've studied memory, what we've found is that more goes on in the short-term memory besides rehearsal. And so now you might oftentimes heard it referred to as working memory. And then some information seems to go straight from our sensory experience into long-term memory, and this is what we refer to as automatic processing, and this is something that we're going to be talking about later. Okay, so if you look at the bottom of the screen here, okay, you can see that how this process works. You have your external events that has this sensory input kind of briefly to our sensory memory. What are we paying attention to? Okay, then from our sensory memory, okay, we pick this piece and what are we going to encode? We put it into our working or our short-term memory where we have to practice it, we have to rehearse it, we have to do it over and over again. If we do that correctly, we're going to encode it again into our long-term memory storage, okay, and we're going to keep it there. Now, this is the tricky part. Once it's in our long-term memory, we have to be able to get it out. Okay, so and then when we do, we have things called retrieval cues. Okay, we retrieve it from our long-term memory, bring it back into our short-term memory to be able to work with it and access it again. Our short-term memory is conscious. Our long-term memory is unconscious. Okay, now this is all kind of stuff that we have to practice. This is all something that we have to do. Okay, effortful. Now, automatic processing, though, is that we do know that there are certain things that just seem to kind of bypass all of this and go straight into our long-term memory, okay? And then we'll be talking about that stuff tomorrow. So the take-home message, okay, the things that you need to make sure you understand: encoding, storage, retrieval. Okay, encoding, storage, and retrieval, and then the Atkinson-Schriffen model, which says that we have these sensory memories that are brief, okay, then we encode twice. We encode between sensory and working, and then we encode again between working and long-term, okay? Now, also remember that working memory and short-term memory are synonyms, okay? They basically mean the same thing, okay? And then long-term memory is where our storage occurs. So the working memory, what's some of the functions, okay? The short-term memory is working in many ways, okay? It holds information not just to rehearse it, but to process it, such as hearing a word problem in math and doing it in your head, okay? So there's different things that happen. We have auditory rehearsal, which is repeating a password to memorize it. We have executive functions, choosing what to attend to and what to respond to. And we also have our visuospatial sketch pad, which is, rearranging the room, your room furniture in your mind, kind of the daydreaming, being able to kind of like picture mental imagery as well. Okay, so short-term memory integrates information from the long-term memory with new information coming in from the sensory memory as well. So I kind of used this example in class today about how every time you access a memory and you bring it back to your working memory, that memory gets corrupted by all of the new stimuli that's getting bombarded, that's happening as well. So that process, that continual cyclical process is one of the functions of the working memory as well. All right, so we're going to wrap up there for today.